Great. You can all watch. Now watch me.
Okay.
Okay. So Allison offered this suggestion, says, don't blame it on me, Frank, but it's a bunch of questions for you. So she was wondering, I was wondering, because I'm redoing my website, the front page, and then I had to change a bunch of things. But we was wondering what, in your opinion, needs to be in the front page of your website, the landing page.
Yeah, well, the front pages are landing pages. There are other kinds of landing pages. Basically, any page that you have some external guide to that brings somebody there. So if you were doing an ad and it came to a page, that would be a landing page. The home page, in my opinion, and you know, your last site was good, but the home page, in my opinion, this is less important for an artist site because an artist site is about the work. But the homepage is the purpose of the homepage, in my opinion, and it's very out of style these days, is to say, I do this for these people. I offer this service, this product. This is my audience. If you are in that audience, you're in the right place. If you're not in that audience, you don't have to waste your time here.
Yeah, and close enough to the top of the page so you don't have to scroll.
Right. It should be plain, blatant, easy to understand. In your case, having a slideshow of photographs might be sufficient. You know, with a heading above it, you know, saying Oscar is a photographer specializing in, and then underneath it, if people have to scroll to find out about your services as a person who does, you know, home installation, I don't think that has to be in the top part of the homepage, unless you make more money from that than you do from the photography.
Right now, some years I do, some other years I don't.
Well, I mean, you want to have home installation very prominently in the navigation bar.
Yeah, I do have it.
Yeah.
I have it like it's the biggest thing: printing, hanging, and installation services. Then I was talking to Court about it.
Yeah, wouldn't it depend upon what you want to do the most rather than what you do the most? If you would rather sell more photographs, then that's the thing I would make primary.
No, I would agree with you, Court. But you know, if something's a big chunk of your income and it's not completely disparate. I mean, if you were a photographer and you were a podiatrist, I would say you need two websites.
I think he does anyway.
Right.
Well, maybe he does, but the fact that he's a professional photographer informs the installation service. So I don't think that it's incompatible. I have a friend who is an actor and he does business coaching. He helps people who want to get money from venture capitalists, you know, because they're both auditions, and he has them both on the same website. And I said, you really need two websites. And he said, but I don't want the producers to not take me seriously if I have a second website. I said, it's in plain sight on the website you have. It would be less obtrusive on a completely separate website. But you know, those are, you know, completely different audiences, even though the skills are the same. So Oscar's services, I think anybody who wants to buy a photograph from him ought to know that if they're in Chicago, he'll install it for them. And anybody who's not in Chicago shouldn't know, you know, won't care. So if it's in the navigation, I think that's sufficient, because I assume that the primary, you know, it's primarily about the art. So yeah, I think the slideshow and then a description under the slideshow of, you know, the philosophy and the aesthetic philosophy and the would be appropriate. One paragraph, and then much more in the about page.
Yeah, the about page, you know, Shopify is kind of funny. I had to do in the navigation, I had to make a second about page link so I can have about now in the about section says I got about Oscar capturing the image printing process. Because if I didn't let me do it any other way, and it's working fine. So basically, I hope I did this what you told me, Corey. I put it's the homepage collection about events, blog, and then picture hanging and art installation services.
That makes
Sounds completely appropriate to me, Oscar. If you want to email me a link, I'll be glad to take a look and send you an email back. I'll put
I'll
my
put it in
email
the chat. Yeah.
Okay, but don't you want to advertise the fact that you will hang other people's work as well?
It's in there.
Okay,
I don't think that
Yeah,
needs to be on the homepage.
Yeah, it's in the in the navigation. Now I have the navigation. It's really clear if you see the words in the top. Before was just a bar, and now also when you scroll all the way down, you see the picture hanging in our installation. The thing that why I keep both of them is because at some shows, especially in Florida, people ask me if I can come and hang them for them, the pictures, because they see that I do the picture hanging, and they ask me if I can come and do it for them. And I don't mind doing that for people. So, and for artists, if I'm in the area, you know.
Oscar, you know, if you are doing other kinds of marketing besides the website, then you could make the picture hanging page a landing page. In other words, if you're doing social media about hanging pictures, you can have a link to the picture hanging service in the social media. It's the same website, but people clicking on the link in the social media will come to the page with that
yes,
as opposed to the home page.
perfect.
But that's true.
You know, so if you're doing stuff in Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, whatever, you can make the link there. So
Yeah,
that,
to the page where the installations are.
yeah. So that you're talking about installation in the social media, and you get them to the installation page as the first page they see. And then if they're curious enough to look at the homepage, then they'll see about your photography.
Hey, Bonnie.
Yeah, because yesterday I did installation, and the person was looking at my website while I was doing installation and bought a piece from me at the same time. So
Excellent.
it turned out to be.
I don't know if you can see it.
Really,
You got a really nice
good
pattern on this piece. Well, I'm
ugly
sorry.
piece.
I'm sorry, Oscar.
Now, one caveat, which is that I am completely out of style. Right. This is my personal philosophy about what a website would be. And at the moment, everybody thinks you should have ridiculously long homepages that confuse and annoy your visitor.
Yeah.
And they would, of course, deny that it's confusing and annoying, but
I agree.
Hey, Oscar, I just looked at your website. Why is the picture on the homepage so large? Oscar.
Because otherwise it crops it weird. It's a Shopify thing.
Larry, it turns it into a really narrow pano, and in the first image, it crops into the image about halfway down in the yellow sky, and it crops the bottom up to the right where the cushions are, the bottom of the cushions on the couch. And so it crops the image on the first two.
It wasn't working, and it was a Shopify thing. There's no way around. I tried different things, and that was the only one they keep it like it's supposed to be.
Well, I like the first three images that are roaming, and the picture of you. Look, I think that would be a great front page, just that stuff.
I mean,
Shopify won't let you control the size of the pictures depending on the size of the screen.
No, for the slide thing, because it just crops, we're not getting to coding, right? I don't want to do coding. But in this particular one, if you can make it more panoramic to take less space, or you can make it medium but still crops a lot. And the large one is the version that I have. And that to me doesn't bug me that much, to be honest with you.
Okay, I have another question. What about at the top? It says Linares Fine Art Photography. Why can't you add your first name there and then delete the whole row that says Oscar Linares Fine Art Photography?
Because some idiot 10 years ago, I'm not going to say his name, decided to use Linares Fine Art instead of using Oscar Matos Linares. But the problem is that in these days, people know me for Linares Fine Art, or they know me by Oscar.
Well, but
So
you have it, you can add those both together on one line and eliminate the other line.
it's a marketing thing in my head. It's like people don't know Oscar, they know Linares Fine Art. They don't know Oscar. Because that's how I've been marketing myself since I started doing shows.
Mm.
So if
Well-
you look at my signature, everything is Linares. So they always go by Linares Fine Art. They never look by my full name. The people that
Oscar,
look my
can you
full
keep-
name is usually the people that you don't want to be associated with.
Well, I have to say, and I don't know squat about all this, but when I went and looked at your website yesterday, the day before, when you told me about it, it was beautiful.
Yeah,
really liked it.
I called him up and told him the same thing. It was great.
So
Yeah.
Oscar, can you control the color of the font? Because the one thing I don't like is that the title and the navigation is pale.
Yeah, make
I
it
think it
black.
should be darker.
The navigation should be pale. I
No,
mean, darker.
black.
It's too pale. It's harder to read than it should be.
So
Okay.
are you talking about all the buttons, the so-called buttons?
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of them are very long, and I don't know. I kind of think that they look a little busy visually up top. Like if
They
you
are
could
a little busy
instead,
visually, but there's as busy and illegible is not as good as busy and legible.
right. They're
Or
two different
semi-legible.
things.
I mean, yes, you
They're-
can read them, but it's harder than it should be. If the contrast was greater, it would just be easier for everybody, and it wouldn't
Right.
look any worse in terms of busyness.
But they're two different things. So I understand what you're saying, but I mean, maybe there's a way he could make them into buttons and put frames around them or something to
No, let
clean
me
that
go
up a
back
bit.
and look again.
The other thing, Oscar, is your very first or your second button is your installation as opposed to your
Not
work.
anymore.
Okay.
Not anymore.
Really, that should be a whole separate website.
Everybody keeps saying that, but right now, let me put it to you this way. Lately, I got people, how to say, make it, they look at if people buy artwork for me, they like that they don't have to ask me. How it's working out lately is like people buy my work and they say, hey, I saw you in your website that you hang artwork professionally. And can you come and hang these pieces when they come in? But
Right.
sometimes I get people, like yesterday, the people saw my website and they say, oh, I like this image. Can I buy this from you now? And they buy it. So it works both ways. I don't
Right.
think the way that I build the business, and this is my business model, is that it's designed to each one to help each other. I don't want to. I want both things to help each other. I don't want to be both things totally separate. I don't want people to. I want people to know what I do. Also, when I'm out of town, people know why I'm out of town now. So then they most of the time what I help is with me, people having people, how to say,
Jeff, can I call you back later?
people see what I'm doing and they know exactly what it's all about with me. Let me see.
Right. No, I understand. So what about then the buttons? Well, what Frank said, but also like framing them or something.
You know, if you made it just art installation services, that would make it a little less. That would make everything visually a little simpler, and it wouldn't necessarily detract because picture hanging is art installation services.
Right, and actually that link can go to a different website.
That's true. That could do that too.
And have them cross-link.
Well, that link goes to a separate page.
Well, I know
anyhow.
it goes to a separate page, but a separate website will give you, well, it used to give you higher rankings in the search engines if the websites are linked to each other.
Yeah, actually, Oscar, I think that the fonts should be darker everywhere on the installation services, and that's too pale. It really needs to be darker. I mean, it's a beautiful website. Just make the text darker.
I would
See,
agree.
I just refresh it.
Oh, and this picture of the hanging guitars is gorgeous.
Did you discuss the purpose of that front page? Which that's called the landing page, isn't it?
It's the home page, and the home pages are landing pages, but not all landing pages are home pages.
Ah, okay.
All home pages are landing pages. Not all landing pages are home pages. You know, if again, as I was saying, if Oscar's doing social media about the art installation and the link on that social media is to that page, it's a landing page.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar, it looks way better than yesterday.
Okay. That's what I was hoping.
This time I'm looking on my phone before it was on the iPad. It's gorgeous. Of course, it's locked up my phone because I pushed the chat button. Boy.
Oh, and I did not like the pop-up on the homepage. Yeah,
That's something I need to figure out to.
Hey,
Sorry, now my,
Oscar, when I went in today and looked at it, it came up again today.
Yeah, it's not working as supposed to. I need to remember how to get rid of it now.
I didn't get one. When I opened it, there was no pop-up. But we have a thing on our, just the general Windows thing that no pop-ups.
Yeah, well, your pop-up blocker blocked it, but I don't have the
Yeah.
pop-up blocker, and there are lots of people who don't.
and
Yeah,
that pop-up drives me nuts.
And
When
there's lots of people that
Yeah.
should.
And you know, if you have the pop-up blocker because other people's pop-ups have annoyed you, the pop-up doesn't do Oscar any good with you. For the small few number of people who wouldn't mind it, might not see it, and lots of people who would mind it will. So better it not be there.
What's on the
There's-
pop-up block? Pop-up.
It's the
Mailing
mail
list?
thing.
Who?
Mail list.
Yeah, sign up for the newsletter. I mean, sign up for the newsletter is fine after somebody's looked at the pictures and say, this guy's cool. But
Right.
if you haven't even looked at the first picture yet, and this is what you know, you're sort of starting to look at the first picture and suddenly there's this thing in your way, it's just annoying.
It's annoying, definitely.
Plus-
Some websites won't let you in until you
Yeah.
put in your
Oh, I
website. I
know.
refuse to do that.
I will,
Yeah, and
I will
I leave-
never shop with them. Okay,
leave
Oscar,
immediately.
It
Yeah.
didn't pop up. I just refreshed my phone and went back to your site and it did not pop
What
up.
kind of phone is it?
iPhone.
It might be built in. The pop-up blocker might be built in.
No, because I was
Don't-
getting the pop-ups before.
Oh, okay.
Oscar,
It's
the other thing
supposed to
about that,
be. It's supposed to be when you comes out for the first time. It's supposed to come again. You know, assuming but it's not working fine. I keep hearing that complaint. So when I got time to figure out how to change the coding, I will change the coding. because I add up that that's more like you heard our storefront. So our storefronts that got that fixture, then and the same thing with our placer. So there's a couple of things I got rid of it, and I would get rid of the pop-up. But on my defense, I've been getting at least 2 or 3 sign-ups every week from the
Excellent.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm surprised. I'm still going to tell all my clients not to do it, but I'll tell them that Oscar's getting signups, despite the fact that I think it's a terrible idea.
What?
Well, my pop-up doesn't go right away, but it also gives 10% off, which only one person ever has taken advantage of.
Yeah, it's so funny how nobody takes advantage of those things.
Right.
I have no,
That's because it's not 25%.
I have
I
no
don't know.
objection
Probably.
to, sign up for my newsletter on the website. I think that's completely appropriate, but I just really find it annoying.
I got the pop-up on my iPhone the first time I looked at it.
Okay.
And I
The other
also
thing
get a
about the-
chat down at the bottom.
Yeah, I
The
have
other
the
thing,
chat.
Oscar, about the pop-up
Mhm.
is it's ugly. It doesn't fit with your design or your work. I don't think.
But can't you add your own picture?
You're right.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
I
mine
cannot
has,
do that.
oh, because on mine I could just put whatever picture I want. I could change the style, but it's not shop. What do you have, Shopify?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and you guys don't like the chat thing neither?
The what?
The chat thing?
No,
Yeah.
it's fine.
That's fine. It just locked up my phone.
Is it
it's
useful?
fine.
What, most chatbots are stupid, obnoxious, and useless.
Definitely.
Right.
So
Well-
unless you have a good reason to have it, you're better off without it. And unless
I will
it's
try.
really well programmed, you're better off without it.
I mean, I would have my phone number pop up.
Or a
Well,
link,
it's
a link to call or email, something like that.
Well, he says
Uh,
he prefers texting.
Well,
Yeah.
then it could just be a link that they could click on to text you. That would be good to have.
No, you're
Or an
gonna do that
email.
for me.
Ah,
Oh,
interesting. In the chat, I just typed in a question. And you have to give your name and email address before it will chat with you.
Yeah.
oh.
That's to make sure you're not a robot.
Correct.
Okay.
That's
And
that's
it-
to
and-
add
I
you to their
think-
data.
And it's gonna
think-
ask
mining.
you, how many pictures have stop signs?
Yes.
How annoying.
Well, I mean, but that's the whole value of the chatbot is that you don't waste a human being's time with a robot. Let the two robots waste each other's time.
I don't
Yes.
know. It's just a really pretty site.
I got to see the mail thing. I got to try to figure out how to erase it, but we see. We
All right.
see.
Well, it's so good to feel useful today.
Well,
Oh,
Hey,
Okay, well,
wait a minute. I don't
since-
understand that connection. How is his website equal to your usefulness?
Because he's asking Frank's opinion.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Here's a website pet peeve when people don't update their events and they're from like 2 to 15 years ago.
Yes.
Well-
That shows
Agree.
that they're not looking at it. I mean, it doesn't have to be updated monthly, but within reason.
Yep.
You're better off without a
Actually-
show schedule than one that's 15 years ago, because if you look at it and the logical thing is, oh, you're out of business.
Something
Exactly.
like that.
That's right. That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
since you're critiquing websites, critique my website.
LarryBerman.com?
Yeah, LarryBerman.com.
Well, while you're typing it in, I don't know if the last time we talked, my website had totally crashed or not. But my website has totally crashed.
Oh dear.
Who built the
just need a-
website?
It's a WordPress. So I just signed up for Squarespace. And I'm looking at how to do it, and it's like, holy shit.
Okay,
have
Bonnie,
Squarespace.
I teach people how to use Squarespace all the time.
That's great. And Bonnie, you know what? Once he teaches you, maintaining it is very easy. I could do it myself. I don't need Eric's help.
Right.
You know,
Once you know how. I was on Zoom today with Jane Langle, who is 82 years old, retired school teacher and computer phobic. And she was having a problem because she forgot how to click which button to click. But at the same time, she was very successful at adding new pictures and putting descriptions on and putting the prices in. And she's feeling so much more self-confident than she was when we started. And she's really going to be able to manage this website herself just fine.
Well,
That's great.
I don't even want a full website. I just want a page to say, you know, I am not dead. And
Well,
able to be able to get the email that goes through that domain name. I want to be able to get that again.
all right. Well, that's completely separate from the website. That has to do with who the site's registered with and who the email provider is. You could have no website and have an email like that, or a website without an email, or both. But they could be completely separate companies. So if you want me to help you with that, Bonnie, let's make an appointment and we'll Zoom together and try to figure it out. Okay.
Yeah, I need it.
Okay.
I need you, Frank.
Aw.
Okay.
See, Frank's been coming every week waiting to hear that.
How many years has it been?
And since he's heard it now, we'll never see him again. He got what he needed. He's gone.
So,
Okay, so when are you available?
I'm going to put a Calendly link in the chat. You just click on it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Frank.
So there's a trend I've noticed where people don't have websites and it just goes to a Facebook page or an Instagram page.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on that? I mean, it drives me nuts personally, but
You know
what do you want to do?
No, it's I think it's a horrible idea because you're turning over you're turning over control of a lot of your marketing to, you know, somebody else.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Good point.
You know, it's, you know, I've talked to and heard from a lot of photographers that, you know, somebody did something and they lost everything they had on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just
it's
a horrible idea.
If you're just starting out and you have no money, it's better than nothing. But as soon as you have $300 a year to spend on a website, get a Squarespace website or a Wix website, and have a minimal website that you can expand as you need it. And you know, the templates look good, so it's possible to have a really ugly website on Wix. I've seen a couple. It's really hard, but it's very hard, and it's much harder on Squarespace. A really ugly website on Squarespace would take a lot of work.
Yeah.
You have to be committed to having an ugly website to have an ugly website on Squarespace.
Okay, so where's my critique?
Where's your critique? I got distracted. Bonnie said she needed me, and I came back. What can I say?
Sorry.
Okay, so Larry, the first thing is that on my screen, it's using about half the screen. So this looks like it's built on tables.
Yeah.
And it will look terrible on a phone.
Actually, it looks fine when I look at it on my iPhone.
Really? Well, that's interesting. So then,
Because the table's only 600 pixels wide.
okay. I mean, yes, I know that you're comfortable with tables and you're uncomfortable with other techniques, but really it's easy to, if you know how, it's easy to have something that will reshape itself for any screen size. And I would imagine that the tool you used actually has control over it that's not showing up when it, because what I did was I shrank the browser on my computer and it cropped off one of the pictures. So if it doesn't do that on the phone, that's good news. But you know, you have all this empty space on a not huge screen on an iMac. This would be a little island of a website in a sea of black.
Well, it would be that way horizontally or vertically, depending on. It's not going to get bigger.
No, but it could rearrange itself. You could have the 9 pictures as a row of 5 and a row of 4. And the text is really dense. So I think if you broke it into bullet points, it would be better. It would be just easier to read.
What do you mean dense?
Visually,
It's this
there's too
block of
much.
text that's white and yellow for the hot links, and it's just people are spoiled. They want lots of white space in what they read now.
Mhm.
It's perfectly legible, but if you broke it into 2 paragraphs or had bullet points in there, it would just be easier to read and look more spacious.
Oh, you mean down at the bottom?
Yeah, the text, not the pictures. Again, you know, if you had could use the whole screen, I'd say a little more space between the pictures. But given that this is going to fit on a phone, that won't, well, on a phone, it would do it differently on a phone anyway, clearly. I'll have
Larry,
to look at it on a phone.
go to my website and go to one of the galleries to see what he's talking about and change the width of your browser. And you'll see that it's like text. As you make a narrower column, the text reflows. The photos do the same thing. If you've got a wide screen, you'll see 2 rows. If you've got a narrow screen, you might see 4 rows.
Exactly. I love your background, Court.
The plain white.
No, I'm talking about the jack-o'-lanterns behind that you've got. The metal jack-o'-lantern like sculptures.
These are plow discs that an artist in southwestern Kansas made.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one piece out of about a 1/4 mile long stretch of artwork.
I bet it's amazing.
It is. Google MT Liggett, Liggett, 2 G's, 2 T's.
Just so you're aware, Frank, he insults everyone. The sculptor.
Yeah, and he's a grassroots artist. He passed away about 5-10 years ago, but is just great artwork along the highway. I just got a text, folks. I got to take a phone call, so I need to run.
Okay,
Good one.
I'll do a good job for you.
All right. Yep. It's pack party Zoom tonight. Bonnie's in charge. Don't make her mad.
Woo!
All
Bye,
right.
You're not
everybody.
watching a
See you.
hockey game,
Bye.
Donnie?
I'm sorry?
You're not watching the Red Wing hockey game tonight?
No, I have a job to do.
So,
Okay.
Frank, you
Frank, I
want to
just made
redo
an
that?
appointment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Frank, you want to redo? It's just a one-page website.
Okay, sure. How do I get in?
I'll email you. I'll create an FTP login for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Give
Frank.
everybody the name and password so we can go wreak havoc
Yeah.
with you.
All right.
Frank, we have a date.
Okay.
Okay.
This will be fun, Bonnie. And I promise it will be fun for me, and I promise it won't be painful for you. I can't promise it'll be fun for you, but it will be, I promise it won't be painful.
It will be fun. Now, should I be on my, I should be on my desktop.
You should be on your desktop. It'll be much easier on your desktop.
Okay, got it. Okay,
And
that's all.
and what we'll do is I'm going to make you the co-host, and I'm going to have you share your screen, and then I'm going to make you do all the work.
Okay,
Because when somebody demos something for me and it looks perfectly easy, I go back and it's not perfectly easy. Whereas
Yep.
if I'm doing it, then I learn it.
Yeah.
yep, I agree.
Yep.
Oh, this would be a huge one to get off the back of my neck.
Right. So that, you know, there's the two pieces. There's the Squarespace piece and then the email piece. And the email piece I'm going to do for you. We're going to, you know, ask you a bunch of questions and figure out what's wrong. And then I'll take care of it for you, because that's not something you
Thank
should
you.
need to do.
Thank you. Well, if you need the next, I just signed up for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You might want to keep the next 30 minutes open.
Okay.
How about the next 24 hours?
Yeah, or like the next like 2 or 3 hours, you know.
Now, my
Oh,
stamina is finite as well. You know,
Or a
some
week.
things have to be done in multiple days.
yes. Okay,
Hey,
that was fun. That got me off my butt.
I had an interesting email today that I really liked, and I wanted to point it out. St. James Court. I had put off sending my application. I was invited back. So I'm one of the invitees, and so I thought, well, okay, I'll just do it. So so she sends me an email back, you know, welcoming me, telling me how happy she is that I'm coming back to do the show, and then she actually posted in there. She repeated what, you know, my booth space, the one that I wanted, because there were two different ones. She said, and we have you down for either this booth space or this booth space, and we'll let you know. Don't, you know? And I thought it was really nice that she actually sent a thing welcoming me, telling me she wants me to be there, because lately I've been feeling like nobody wants me. So that was really, I mean, it's really good to get it for anybody to get it, you know, to have the show be happy that you're coming back to their show. It wasn't just a stock, you know, answer or thing that the email they sent out to people. I think it's really nice, because there's nothing worse than a show that like starts laying down the law, telling you what's wrong, you know, all the rules before you get there. You know, just say, you know, it was really nice to get that with the information.
I love the fact that she acknowledged the two booths that you asked for.
Yeah.
And she said you'll be in one or the other.
Yeah, and she highlighted them. They were both in bold. It was nice.
You know, that's the kind of thing, it just eases my mind.
Exactly.
And now I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's a little thing that ends up, because to me it's the little things, the little details that make that get rid of the stress of doing a
Yes.
show. And I wish more shows would spend more attention to detail.
I have to say, Brookside has been great. I'm doing the show alone. Eric can't go. It's his like last 2 weeks of school. So I asked to be near either one or another friend, and she actually put me in the middle of both of them.
Oh.
And
I like it.
which is really nice. And you know, as a jeweler, and a lot of people don't realize this, as a jeweler, I mean, you can't just leave your booth for anything. You know, you can't turn your back, you can't leave your booth. And so you know, I thought that was really nice. And you know, they're different mediums also. So, you know, I could understand if they don't want to put people of the same medium right next to each other. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's
it was-
fantastic. That is a
Yeah.
very artist-friendly thing to do.
I think so.
I wish I
you
had
know,
that
also,
experience myself, because I've gotten, it's the only show I've ever gotten rejected from every single time.
oh, I'm sorry. But
Glad- Last time I got in, I had to cancel it. That was not,
oh,
I was not a happy camper.
Yeah.
I bet.
So Bonnie, I've extended the meeting for another half hour, so we'll have an hour.
Thank you. You think I'm kidding.
No,
I didn't want to look piggy and say,
well,
well,
you know, I based on what you had said, I thought 30 minutes might be enough, but then you're right, an hour is better. So I sent you the 30-minute link instead of the 60-minute link, and I should have sent you the 60-minute link, so we're fine.
sounds good.
You
Oh,
can
that
have a
was
coffee
fun.
and a scone while you're going over it,
There you go.
You're relaxed.
Instead of my peanuts like today,
You're what? Never mind.
my peanuts.
I've been eating peanuts today too.
It was kind of my mid-afternoon thing because I have to be all pumped up for 7:30 tonight.
7:30, which time zone again?
7:30
Eastern.
Eastern time.
Eastern, okay. All right. But so you
I'm in
know,
charge. I'm telling everyone that.
the doing shows alone, I have to, as a jeweler, I have to say, really like the volunteers, booth sitters, you know, I never, when Eric is with me, I don't have to use booth sitters at all. I figure, you know, they're for the people that need help, and I didn't. And it really is very different for a jeweler than I think than most other mediums, just because, you know, it's small and, you know, easily transportable. So you know, it's and I feel lucky. The shows I've been doing have been really great as far as having enough volunteers. But it's also nice to be near friends who, if you have to run to the bathroom, then
You
yeah,
don't have
that's
to
really
look-
the what?
You don't have to look for a booth sitter then.
Right, but
It's hard to find one, even if they have them.
right, and sometimes you call them. I mean, and then sometimes they in their shifts they'll introduce themselves to you, and you put a ribbon out, or
Yeah.
so anyway, you know, it's, you know, I'm really experiencing the other side because I've been lucky mostly in having Eric, but I for Brookside, I'm actually hiring someone to help me sell because the Saturday goes from 10 to 9, and you know, I know just naturally we have our ebbs and flows, and I thought, well, I'm there for 11 hours, right? And so I'd like to make the most of being able to sell, or, you know, just, you know, cast out anyway. And I thought, well, I've never hired anyone before to help me sell. And so it'll be interesting because the idea is this will help increase my sales compared to if I am alone. And with jewelry, you know, you have to take things out, and if you're helping someone, you know, can't help someone else, and having that second person there, you know, theoretically will actually help my sales. And I'll also you know, with a show with that many hours, I don't need to be away from the booth, but to sit behind the booth for like 10 or 15 minutes and just zone out and refresh, you know, and you're close by if they need you. So anyway, I'll be curious to see how it goes.
I always hired people for Ann Arbor because at that point it was 12-hour days and 4 days. And one of the women that I hired was someone that used to work for me. And it was polish the backs of earrings and things like that. She didn't make anything for me. Okay, so we're in the booth and she's helping a woman off to my side, and the woman has tried on a necklace. And my help says, you know what? I just don't think that's the right piece for you. Try this one. And she bought the one that she recommended. And I learned a lot from that because she was not telling her, she was honestly helping her.
Right.
And not just faking it.
Yeah.
Hey, I do that all the time. I think that's important.
To be authentic.
Yes.
But with jewelry, it's, you know, it's a physical adornment. It's you know, so it's very personal in a way that
and
art for your home, where I mean, you wouldn't know what their home looks like, so you couldn't make that judgment as easily as.
And so many people are self-critical. And so you're also up against that, you know, even if it's not true. A lot of people think they're, you know, this, that, the other thing.
Yeah.
And so you hear a lot of that. Long ago, someone told me never have a full-length mirror for that reason.
That is excellent advice. I never thought of it.
Or get a funhouse mirror.
Yeah. Or if you do, have one that makes you look really skinny.
Right.
You know?
Right. But anyway, so this person was recommended by someone I know and trust, and it'll be interesting to, so far with the emails, she's been great. You know, I mean, we're going to talk on the phone, and so.
You will learn from her.
I am sure.
You will have an excellent time. Plus, you will appreciate Eric even more, regardless of how good she is.
Right. Well, one of the things I'm going to talk to her about is, between us, eye contact's very important. One of the things Eric and I do is sometimes he'll be working with somebody and he could tell they want to meet me, and so we'll sort of switch off, but it's nothing jarring. We just do that naturally. You know, or, you know, I'm working with somebody and I need to go to someone else, and I'll, like, you know, so it's like a little dance almost. And so you kind of have to read each other's minds a little bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, I've had a situation, and I wonder how you would deal with this. There's certain things that, like, I had a helper on occasion, and I wouldn't want her to. There's certain things I don't want her to say. Okay, so so of course, with every person that comes in, she's saying what I don't want her to say. It's more like a reference to where I live. I don't want that. But she would also stop people walking by and start engaging them, and I don't do that. So but it ended up working. I mean, she would sell like, so what do you do when you don't want somebody to do something but it actually works?
Well, if you want her to, it might work for that person but not for you, first of all.
Right, your tongue.
Right.
But like I would say ahead of time, certain parameters, like, you know, don't talk about politics and war and religion and
well, that for sure.
And so, I mean, the question is, if it worked, do you not want that done?
Well, I don't want to discourage her because she's making sales that I wouldn't normally make, you know, but I don't
Well-
necessarily like it, you know,
Well, you have to choose then. If
I
it works
know.
for her and you're okay with it, then just, it doesn't mean that you should do it because you might not be good at that.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like she's hawking. Is that it?
She's talking, yeah. She's
No,
stopping people.
hawking.
Talking.
Oh, hawking. No, it wasn't quite like that. You know,
Mhm.
people would be walking by and she'd go, "Do you know what raku is?" And then she'd start explaining this and what I do. And it wasn't hawking. It was just being just like being informative or something. But I don't, I don't engage somebody unless they come in. I mean, I have
Right.
my own routine. I let them come in and look first. I'll say hello, smile, say hi.
Mhm.
Then they leave them alone because I think like I don't want, if I go into some booth or a store, I don't want some salesperson hovering over me. I hate that. So I don't want to do that. But there's a time, so there's a fine line between you want to engage them. There's a fine
Mhm.
line between engaging them because you're interested and then hassling them because you're trying to make a sale. So I try
So
not to do the latter. I try to, so you have to kind of gauge it.
Barry,
Mhm.
Did anybody react badly when she did it?
No, not at all.
Well,
Hmm.
I
then
know.
if nobody
That's your
reacted
answer.
badly, then she's doing it really well, and you're
Yeah.
lucky that she was there to help you.
Only I did because I was embarrassed. Like, come on, don't be bringing people into the booth. But
Well,
I
so
didn't say
clearly
that.
you're more sensitive than other people,
That's
and
right.
you're and you would be better off being more like her, even though you wouldn't want to be treated that way.
That's funny. The worst thing was she kept referring to me as a Youper. Somebody from the Upper Peninsula. And anybody that knows me knows I'm a Detroiter. I don't like that association with people from the UP. I don't want that. And everybody that came in, oh, he's a Youper. He's from, like shut up. I didn't say shut up, but I just
No, but
I didn't
that's such a good talking point. Whether you like it or not,
Yeah.
that's a real positive. Well, can I ask, how did you end up in Marquette if you're a Detroiter?
Uh, I don't want to answer that question. It was a relationship that for me it was delusional. Actually, I was conned. First time I ever was conned by a woman, and really, I'm serious. And
But you've been conned by men.
I've been conned by no.
You
Stop
said
it.
first time you were ever
You know
conned by
what?
a woman.
Come on. Okay, I don't have relationships with men, so I can't talk about that kind of
So
relationship.
wait. You have no friends that are men?
Not that kind of relationship. Come on.
Well,
Allison, have
a
mercy on the
relationship.
poor man. He's dying of
Come
embarrassment.
on, Allison. It's a good point, Allison, but in this case, I don't have an intimate relationship with any men. So there was that dynamic involved, and I just followed her up north, and she just used me to get her up there, and then she ended up leaving, and I ended up staying. But well, no, listen, Bonnie asked me how I got up here, how I ended up
Right.
here, and at the time it was a good idea. First of all, the college the art program at Northern's the best in the state. It has the best facility, and I had a graduate level instruction as an undergrad. I had a degree in business, so I didn't really need another degree. But this guy was great, and he shaped all my art, my belief in how and what you do, and how you get from point A to point B as an artist. I mean, it was great. So that part was worth it. So, and I just stayed after the first 5 years, after all that education. I stayed here and never left. And it was a good idea for a long time, but eventually it was like, I'm too far away from everything. And when
Are
I
you,
could have moved,
are you planning on staying there?
I'm stuck here. It's a financial thing.
Got
You
it.
know, who knew that like you move like like the price of things are ridiculous.
Yeah, housing
me.
across the country is very expensive.
Yeah. I don't know, people, well, you could do it if you got let's say you got a house 20 years ago or 30 years ago.
Or you could live right near a homeless shelter.
But it's hard to make pots in a homeless shelter.
No,
That's
no,
funny.
it's down the street. It's, my studio is its own private space. But Santa Fe is
Yeah.
very expensive. And, it's like, and it's not like, I don't know, any city in the country in the 70s. It's not like that. I mean, like Alphabet City or anything. It's not that bad. It's just, there's at dinner time, there's homeless people. There's, drug dealers, things like that. But it's not, I mean, I'm not afraid, I'm just aware. And it really, it's not like other parts of town have no homeless people in them. And so, but it's the reason that we could get out of our tiny 450 square foot apartment that we lived in for 27 years. Double renters. So anyway, but yes, housing across the country is very expensive right now, for sure.
Well, Barry, you can find a beautiful home in Orland Park, Illinois for $500,000.
Yeah.
Pocket change.
Yeah, I could write a check, but it might get me in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
The interesting thing is rents in Grand Rapids to get a studio apartment, it's more money than I get from Social Security every month.
Yeah, me too.
I don't
Is it
understand.
more, I'm sorry, Bunny, is
Grand
it more
Rapids?
expensive to rent than to buy?
way
Yes.
more. It's way more expensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a trend in entire country. If you really, the problem is some people don't take advantage of or they don't want to take
You
you
know,
can do the 3% down if you was your first time buyer. And then I think even after first time buyer and then pay the insurance, which is basically paying the down payment till you get 20, and then after that you just lose that payment. But it's
here's the story. Because I'm still doing art fairs, so I'm gone 6 months out of the year. I'm only
Yeah.
here I'm working. You work 3 weeks, you leave for 3 weeks. So, or like in Florida, I'm gone for 6 weeks or two, actually it's 2 months because there's a week on either end. So when you add that up, who wants to rent and pay somebody else's equity? It kills me. And I'm only there half the time. So, that's why renting at any price, it always killed me. I just didn't want to do it.
Well, in
Barry,
Oakland, in Oakland, it was actually so much cheaper to rent we had rent control than to buy. And there's no way we could have afforded it anyway, but and we'd go away for shows for like 6 weeks and Eric could work remotely.
Mhm.
But that's rent control was the only reason why.
Yeah, and the thing is, when you make pots, you can't take it on the road. You can't shoot.
Or jewelry, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that problem.
Right. But yeah, the cost of living is really
Okay.
high now, most everywhere.
Hey, let's talk about art shows.
So I've got a question.
Well, it relates.
I think Arts and Apples is the one in Rochester, Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Rochester, yeah.
So they have upper and lower section. Which section is supposed to be the better one, or does it matter?
Upper.
Upper.
Not even close.
Why is that?
Because, okay, I experienced this and I never went back. I didn't know what what I was getting, and I was in the lower section, and it rained the day before, and all the water went down there. It was all grass, and it was mud. It was a horrible experience. Plus the fact that I
I
had a
think
dog
I
shit in
think
front of my
Oscar
booth.
I think Oscar knows about that experience.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
water,
that's what I
the
guess.
water.
Then
Okay, so
he's experienced. It won't bother him. But no, Oscar, you want to be up on top.
I would
okay, that's
agree.
what
You're going to do
I
that
just
show?
wanted to make sure. Hey,
Oh.
that's this September has 5 weekends. So and they moved the show that I usually do instead in St. Louis to the week after. So this year, if I choose, I can do Lake Forest if I get in. I can do, assuming that I'm not going to get to St. Louis, so it will be Arts Apples. Then I can do Lakeview East. Then I can do my West End show, taking weekend off, 2 weekends off, and then go to Philadelphia to close the year.
I was thinking about doing Edwardsville, Illinois. It's the same weekend as St. Louis. I don't know anything about it.
I have no idea about that one.
Well,
So,
start
heard
by
of
looking on the website.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
so I just looking at I just don't want to pay my booth fee for Arts and Apples until that's what I was asking you just to ask them when St. Louis comes out because I wasn't sure. So
Oscar, I would ask Parker
Yeah, ask Parker.
about Art and Apples. He lives
And
in
also ask
the area.
Kristen. Ask Kristen what she thinks, because I don't want to repeat what she said. I asked her about Arts and Apples too.
I will. If I talk to them later tonight,
I used to make a lot of money at that show
Really?
long ago.
That's the problem with those lower Michigan shows. It's long ago.
Well,
Well,
I
everybody,
just
I'm gonna say goodbye. See you all next week.
Hey,
Frank.
I
Thank you,
sent
Frank, for
I
everything.
sent you login information.
I saw, thank you. I'll work on it.
I will see you Thursday.
See you Thursday.
Thanks, Frank. You may be sorry. I don't know.
We all should listen in.
God,
No, it's I look at the scale and the reason why I would like to do it because that way I know how to send my application to Carmel, Indiana. I know how to do any of the Virginia Beach shows. I just
you
try
don't
to
want to
buffer.
do Carmel?
That show, it doesn't work for me for some reason. Every time I've done it, they always put me. This is my pet peeve with the shows. It's they I don't know what happened. There used to be one road, and when it's one road, I don't care. But then they came out with this idea of making a small T, and they put in some people in that small T, and if you end up that T, you're going to die. And I cannot emphasize this and so much. Said that you have even Ann Arbor, the Reno show, right? You got the T in Ann Arbor, but the section of the T that goes to the State Street Fair, you get good traffic. The other side of the T, you don't get that much traffic. So it's there's other things that I'd rather, me as an artist, if I get to the show, I'd rather pay you a little bit more money. They have a set of artists in a bad spot because this year I can be in the good spot, but there's no guarantee next year I don't want to be in. I might be in that spot.
Well,
So
I like where
just
we
don't-
are.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like any show in general. I just think that it's one of the things that I wish that they do when they do the layout. Make sure that it's a straight line, or
It's-
it's a grocery type layout, which is up and down the aisles. Anything
Mhm.
else, it becomes a freaking nightmare. You're going to get bad spots no
Mhm.
matter what you do.
You
It
mean like
has
Naples?
to be- It has to be fair for everyone. Everyone
Yeah.
has to have an equally good chance.
Mm-hmm.
And when you've got a T, they will tell you, oh no, everybody will go down there. They
Of
won't.
course they say that. Yeah.
Or they can do the same thing. The only show that I know so far that I've ever done that is high rank is Belleville. If you're on the square, they charge you more money than in the offshoots. The offshoots, they charge you a little bit less, and
A lot
depending on
less.
what, yeah, and depending on what offshoot you have, it might be good or bad, but at least you know you're paying a little bit less, so you're expecting less traffic. At least that's in my mind. They
Yeah.
justify it. And
Actually,
and
that's one show where there isn't less traffic down those side streets because there's four side streets. There's a square, so there's four streets of square, but each corner, has an extension. And really, there are people that actually like to be over there because it's cheaper and they get the same amount of business. I like to be on that square just because I like to be included, to make sure that, it's only it's $100 or $200, depending on where you at, more. But so that's only like one sale or less than one sale, one small piece. So that's the added risk. But I like being with everybody.
yeah, that's the thing. Like, that's my, because that's the if I would have gone to talk to all the directors once, that's the only thing that I would ask, because everything
Mhm.
else is, we have no control about the weather. We have no control who buys or doesn't buy. But if you give me equal opportunity to sell, I'm in great shape, and that's the only thing that I, and that's what
Yeah,
I was asking you about when I saw the upper and lower,
yeah,
and I go like, oh God, I know there's something has to be wrong with one of the section.
yeah. That one I know for sure that
Yeah.
you want to be on the upper level.
Yeah, because if it rains, the water only goes down, and there's a river next to it, right? If I'm not mistaken.
It's more like the mud. It's grassy and it's muddy. Up above, it's I don't know how to describe it. It's there's not as much grass. There's a pathway. There might even be sidewalks on the upper. I've been there in a long time, so I don't really know.
If James jumps today, I would talk to him. I will ask him about it, but we'll see. I know that a lot of artists do the show that I know that I really respect. So I
Talk to
I would
talk
like
to Kristen.
so we see. Oh my goodness. Oh, I cannot believe I'm hitting the road next week again.
Bonnie, you're muted again.
There's so many variables we have to consider with all of this. Some endless.
Well,
Yeah,
Oscar, what I said was you'll never know until you do it.
I
And
know.
people
I'm
used to
serious,
tell me
Oscar.
that. People used to tell me that. And it's kind of like, well, I know that, but I'm trying to hedge my bets here and not go to a show
Exactly.
where,
I generally think your intuition, your first intuition when you look at the space is the right one based on our experience, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like I don't know. I don't want to get in a bad and you know, my luck is, or everything goes really well. Let me rephrase that. When things start going bad, it's snowball. It's like an avalanche follows. So I try not to
I
go
know.
through that ever again. Like,
I'm gonna apply to Plaza, and the whole time I'm thinking, God, if I get in, they'll probably put me by the music. And I've already had the email in my head what I'm gonna say, and it's not gonna make any difference. They're still gonna put me by the music, and you know, so am I gonna be able to survive that? You know, because you
Well,
hear about the music all the
send
time.
them an email telling them you have a hearing deficiency.
Well, you know what I did with Naples National? I said I have to be on the street because I'm allergic to the mulch, and they actually which is actually true, and they listened to me. I didn't think they would listen to that, you know. So now I would say that anyway. You know, you just make just tell some story.
Well, you know, sometimes show directors know when there's stories and sometimes they don't, and sometimes they don't care. But I will tell you
Yeah,
that when artists ask for a specific location, it always made my life so much easier because
yeah.
I would put them in first and then build the show around them. So
I
never
usually would
feel-
ask for a general area. Like, for example, this block, something facing north or whatever,
yeah,
because
Yeah,
I
me
thought the
too.
flexibility is better for them. But
I hated facing south because the jewelry would just cook in
Right.
the
Yeah,
afternoon. And it's very, very hard on the jewelry and the maker.
yeah.
right, that's true.
How about trying to put on a pair of earrings that's been heated up by the sun?
Exactly. You can't try anything on. So, well, I'm going to have to go because, you know, I'm in charge tonight. Can you tell I'm really impressed with myself?
Yes,
Bonnie.
we like that.
You know, next week is the mock jury,
Yeah, I
Yes.
was gonna
But-
mention that.
but we only had 7 people sign up so far.
What?
You're kidding.
Now,
The thing is, after the last mock jury, so many people came out of the woodwork, and where are they now?
Yeah.
right,
Well, they're all getting into shows because we helped them get in, so now they don't need to come back. We need their testimonial.
we
We
have,
could get,
there are a couple,
yeah, we could get some good testimonials.
yeah.
Like,
I'd like the before and after pictures of those
Yeah.
beautiful balls.
Well, you see, somebody posted yesterday because of all the feedback she's gotten, her
Mhm.
booth improved so much she got into the show she wanted to get into.
Oh, I love that.
she got into Cherry Creek and
Nah.
Fort Worth and all that. It's
Doesn't
like,
it doesn't have to be the big shows.
but this is what I'm talking about.
Oh.
She has
Well-
my space.
There you go. It's funny because
did you cut the Cherry
the
Creek?
goal is kind of like you've got to do the big fancy shows. Well, been there, done that. And I like to do a step down
Yeah.
because the expenses are so much less.
Yeah. But I do
And
best at
sales
those
reps-
big shows.
I
I need those big shows, you know.
I told you yesterday, Barry, I like to do a mix. I combine national, medium, and low. And it's just like with different expectations. Like
Well,
because that
Well-
way you know doing something.
The one that I wish that I could have done, but I only applied in my very last year, was Fort Worth. But I couldn't do Cherry Creek because that would be giving up Boston Mills, which was such a good show for me. And I couldn't even, so I never applied to Cherry Creek, never applied to St. Louis because I would be coming off Long's Park. And
Yeah,
that show wiped me out.
yeah.
So
Well, Bonnie, I did Fort Worth twice, and I won an award even, and it's a great show for some people, but for me, it just wasn't financially worth it.
yeah,
I did
And it's
really
the
well.
busiest. So yeah, I'm sure people do, and it's the busiest show I've ever done. Like, you get seasick looking out there.
oh,
So,
you
but
get
you know
peopled out.
what?
You get peopled out.
Oh, well, yeah, putting it mildly. I mean, you
That
know, I
didn't
remember
bother me at all.
I needed to just go to hospitality to just like sit and have quiet because it was really a lot of stimulus. But in any case, but I just wasn't, you know, making the money to make it worth it. And we were coming from California and we were driving. And so, you know, even really good shows, they're great for some people, but not for everyone.
Yeah,
And
Here-
that's why, you know, local things are really nice. Like, if somebody might call me and want to come to the studio, I hope not today because it's a wreck, but you know,
Looks like it always
you
looks.
know, well, you don't see the other side. I'm packing I have an artist market on Saturday, but then I'm also flying with lights, and anyway, so it's just kind of a mess. And I'm refurbishing, you know, painting things, stuff like that. But
And cooking dinner at the same time.
no, that's upstairs. But but anyway, you know, sometimes I'll make a sale here and it might be a very modest sale or it might be a really expensive sale, but I already have this overhead and it's just the loveliest thing in the world to just, you know,
Yeah.
and if somebody comes here to buy something, they're here at least for an hour, you know, and so you know, that's the best when it happens, but I can't just count on that.
yeah, but isn't it fun?
Yeah. So meanwhile, I signed up for I had 5 artist markets between March and April. One canceled due to weather. One I was on the wait list. And so this will be my last one for this period of time. And so I only will have done 3 out of 5. And now that now that I already did the wait list, though, I'm good for Memorial Day. I mean, they won't be back to me for that. But you know, I thought, oh my God, 5 in a row, that's going to be exhausting. And turns out, I mean, we can't control the weather. So it was really windy.
Everybody has to take a wait list weekend. It seems like you talked about that before.
Yeah, so they go through, but if I'm not scheduled for one, I'm skipped over until next. So so the wait list goes alphabetically, they go around. However, if you're not, let's say I'm not scheduled for the next 2, then the wait list would only be applicable when I'm scheduled. So it's not like, oh, I'm not scheduled anyway and I was on the wait list. You know, and they don't like having a wait list in the first place, but some Saturdays are more popular than others. So, but I'm finding that anything around a holiday is not as good as like just a usual Saturday. And then also there's these huge events. So like I did the Saturday before Easter and it was really quiet. And Easter is a huge thing here. There's a pilgrimage, thousands of people come in. But of course, you know, those people are not out shopping. And
when's
yeah.
Easter?
It was already.
That's funny because I apparently I'm leading a sheltered life because
Well, usually Easter and
Western.
Passover are around the same time, but they're so different now.
Yeah.
this year, I mean.
Yeah.
So anyway, I learned the Saturday before I'm leaving for a show, I definitely shouldn't schedule one because it's just too much. But anyway, when I get back, it's Mother's Day weekend and I'm scheduled for that Saturday. So
Good.
since I was just on the wait list, then I should be fine with that because, they got to go around the dial.
Okay, I gotta go. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
What time is
It's
it?
it's been
Bye.
fun.
Oh, it's 3:13. Yep.
5:13.
5:13,
Right.
okay.
Lordy.
We're at 13.
Unless you're Oscar, then it's 4:13.
Oh,
Mhm.
geez.
That's
Actually,
right.
14, your plus are off.
Chicago.
We're
Hey,
all in the chat.
Did you see that catch that my favorite baseball player, Ellie De La Cruz caught? I think it was yesterday. Ran from shortstop all the way out to left field and dove and made the catch.
No, because they lost. Doesn't matter. I don't care.
I'm gonna go.
Bye, Allison.
All right,
See you,
bye.
Allison.
Bye.
Oscar, I bring this up in front of everybody as a joke, because I like talking baseball to you, but really it's not really appropriate for our thing, but I do it just to be, well, I think I'm being funny. I'm probably like Allison's probably annoyed when I bring up baseball, not baseball again, not sports again. So,
I one thing that I learned about the art shows, it's like when I wear the Cincinnati red hat, I don't get into, since I started doing it, I don't get into political talks at the booth.
yeah, that's right. You can't wear red.
They don't talk to me about anything related to Chicago, or they ask me, how come you wearing the Cincinnati red hat and you live from Chicago, and then it turns out to a baseball conversation and never becomes a political stuff. Before I was getting the most annoying questions ever. I just wanted to, why? I'm not going to change anything about the city. I don't care. I'm here to sell. I don't want to talk
Yeah.
politics or anything.
Yeah, I get that. Hey,
So,
there was something really interesting today. The Tigers played this afternoon, so I get to watch it before I came here, and the announcers who are really, really knowledgeable and really good, ex-baseball players, and this guy Benetti, who's really good. They were talking about how AJ Hinch, one of the pitchers. I'm sorry, one of the hitters on Detroit, and Hinch went to him and said, "Okay, you're not starting, but in the eighth inning, this this guy's going to pitch for Texas, and I need you to hit this guy. I want you to be prepared." So the players spent all day, and there's no guarantee, right? So that the situation would come up. So the guy, prepared himself to hit against this one pitcher, and hey, eighth inning, 2-2, and they brought this pitcher in, and they brought up, and the hitter Veerling pinch hit and got a base hit, and they ended up winning the game. I thought that was really cool that AJ Hinch knew what was going to happen in the eighth inning. I mean, not really know, but it ends up he knew what was going to happen and prepared the player, and then the player came through. I think that's one of the things about baseball that's really great. The very little minutia and the little attention to things that actually end up playing out. And every pitch is, to me, it's exciting. It's all different. They're all different. So that's why I like baseball. So that's why I talk about it. And to talk about it with you, because nobody else, in my circle likes baseball. So it's fun to talk to you, Oscar, about baseball.
that's good.
Well,
I got to let you guys go because I need to go back to my website.
Yes, and I have to go because I have to get ready for the Red Wing hockey game. If they have to win, and and Washington loses, they're in the playoffs, and if Washington wins, they're not in the playoffs. So it's a big
Bro,
game.
Washington's going to win today, and your season is over.
So. So instead of doing
See
what
you
I have
guys.
to do,
All right, see you guys.
okay. See you guys
Bye.
later.
Bye.